Stone cold chillin', JC, just you and me, chillin', you see. By the Sea of Galilee, I got a notion that this motion by the ocean is the potion I need. I think you get the gist. You the top of my list. State of bliss, Eucharist. Swear to God, I need a fix. State of bliss, crucifix. Thank you, Jesus, that's my mix.
Look at this, Morty. Look at my fucking hand. Look at this shit.
Why do you keep doing this to us?
I don't know, Morty. Maybe I hate myself. Maybe I think I deserve to die. I don't know.
Insatiable is a new Netflix show created about a month ago, made by Lauren Gussis. I apologize if I mispronounced the name. This show stars Disney Channel's lovable Debbie Ryan. You all know her.
Insatiable came about as a script that made me feel seen and heard and made me laugh.
He's a child molester.
Which means I might actually have a shot. But also felt very much congruent with the stories I wanted to be making.
I'm a good person. 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 I'm a good person.
After wasting 12 plus hours on this garbage piece of shit show, I think it's safe to say that this is worse than 13 Reasons Why. At least 13 Reasons Why, even at its worst, kinda tried. At least harder than this.
Oh, Spirit, please ride me. Please, 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 please ride me. Deep, deep, deep in my holy Father.
Okay, now let me quit beating around the bush and actually get into explaining why this show is the worst thing on Netflix. The most fundamental thing about any story is its plot. It's the meat of the bones, whether it's television, movies, books, comics, whatever. A story has a plot. Now seems about the right time to get into the meat of Insatiable. Now, the plot of this show is that Patty Bladell, yes, that's her real name, was fat for most of her life and was bullied because of it. And after getting punched in the face by a homeless person, she gets her jaw wired shut and has to eat liquid foods for 3 straight months and then gets skinny. Patty Bladell now uses her new skinniness to get revenge on the people who bullied her, and to do this she tries out for beauty pageants. Yes, this is the actual show. Now, I'm not going to discuss how, in this segment at least, how the show is offensive, because there's a lot more than just fat shaming I can discuss. I'm actually going to discuss the plot and how it's just really bad. Honestly, it feels like the writers cared less about the plot than the special effects team cared about Debbie Ryan's fat suit. I mean, I'm not trying to be a cunt, but why are her arms so skinny? Things just kind of happen in the show for no reason or purpose to the story. They just need something to happen just so they can, shoot something, it feels like. Okay, the premise. Bullied fat girl gets skinny magically and then tries to take a revenge against the bullies who tormented her most of her years. Alright, I get that premise. Then, in order to get revenge, Patty decides that she wants to try out for beauty pageants, and it's like, alright, fine, I kinda get that. It's a little dumb. But whatever, I can see this. Then she starts trying to have sex with her fucking pageant coach. Then she starts trying to go for their pageant coach's son. Then she gets into some weird shit with the church. And then, meanwhile, there's all these subplots that are going on that are either just really bad or really underdeveloped. Now let's discuss a subplot in this show that is equally bad as much as it has no value to the show itself. Of course, I am talking about the subplot with Bob cheating on his wife Coralie. Bob is the character, if you don't recall me explaining before. He is the pageant coach of Patty Bladell. I'm not sure if I mentioned that Bob was the pageant coach. I just wanted to make sure. Now, of course, Bob's wife Coralie finds out about the affair and leaves Bob for a little bit just so she can heal. And eventually they do get back together. And within all this, you can actually see Bob trying to do better for not only himself, but his family. But then, Bob decides to cheat on Coralie again with the other character, Bob. Not only that, this character is supposed to set up as a rival to him, an enemy. So not only did this waste my fucking time with Bob's development as a character with his relationship, but now I am also supposed to forget about the rivalry between the two Bobs and the two characters, and how much we have spent learning that this Bob hates the other one. On top of this subplot being pointless and a waste of my fucking time, all of the dialogue exchange between the characters within this is bad. And it perfectly represents why the writing in this show is god awful. To preface this further, imagine at least like 5 other different versions of these types of subplots, or at least with the level of quality of the subplot going on all at the same time. I'm not sure if it's lack of talent or a factor of laziness to cause how bad this writing is. However, it's still there. The script is a piece of shit. No matter how you like to look at it, we are still left with a god-awful piece of shit show. And I think I'm going to be using that term a lot. Now, for those of you who don't know, the show don't tell rule in visual media, meaning of course film and television, is that creators, either directors or writers or whatever, should try to express the story as visually as possible, rather than just explaining what it is. TV shows and movies are a lot different from books, to where they don't have to literally explain every little detail to let the audience know what's going on. Usually when creators do things like this, they leave a lot more room for subtlety, and I think most people can agree that subtlety is better than just flatly telling you what not only to think and believe, but what's going on. The best type of movies and television are the movies that you can turn the sound off and know exactly what's going on. That's how you know that the directors and the actors actually really care about the movie that they are working on. Yeah, this show doesn't do that. For starters, the directing in this show is very bland, and the cinematography is very bland, and it only feels like a camera was turned on because someone wanted a paycheck. And you can feel this emotionless dread going throughout the whole series. And it has no flair or flavor to what we are watching. Every scene just kind of has the same old shot reverse shot kind of feel. Maybe we'll get like a pan and a zoom or a close up, whatever, but they never really have a kind of oomph to them. They don't have a reason for them. Even a bad show like 13 Reasons Why even has a couple episodes that are at least somewhat visually interesting, but this show is really lacking when it comes to cinematography. And since the directors of each episode in the show choose not to explain anything visually, we have to understand the story through the writing and the script, and the way the script is presented by the actors. And holy shit, does this script not give any bit of subtlety at all throughout the entire fucking series. The writers of the show refuse to let the viewer think for themselves, because they know if they do, the viewer will realize what a god-awful piece of shit show this is. Every single joke, theme, and message is shoved down your throat, whether you want it to be or not. And the biggest culprit for this is the fucking narration. Every time I hear Patty's voice narrating over the scene, it makes me feel like that deaf kid who gets murdered by Freddy Krueger in Final Nightmare. Every time Patty speaks in order to narrate what's going on, it feels pointless and painful. Even the best moment in the show, which is when Patty relapses into binge eating again, is ruined by narration. Patty doesn't need to utter a single word. This entire scene would be chilling, and the point will be driven through just as hard, if not even harder, if she didn't utter a single word. But no, because they treat the audience like they're stupid. Aside from like the character Nani, I hate every single character in this show. Every single character in this show is an unlikable piece of fucking garbage who I find it really hard to root for in almost any situation. Now, I already explained how Bob is a cheating sleazebag, and I don't think I need to go into too much detail into that part. However, his character goes into a lot more than just he cheats on his wife. Bob is a selfish scumbag, and his whole character arc is centered around how he wants too much. Not only is this character arc very boring, and especially the fact that it doesn't really get solved in the end, but this makes Bob a very unlikable character, and he is a protagonist. He is someone we are supposed to be rooting for, but we don't want to because he's a sleazebag piece of shit. Patty's boyfriend, Brick, is also a kind of piece of shit character. He cheats on his first girlfriend in the show, named Magnolia, with this woman named Regina, who has a problem with his dad, and he only sleeps with her just to get back at his dad. Who the fuck wrote this? Then there's Cora Lee, who is also ironically related to Bob, who is also kind of a scumbag. She's hinted at to be only out for Bob's money, and that's the only reason why she cares about him. And she's obsessed with being around the upper class, but she's just kind of a cunt to everyone who has lower money, even though she doesn't work. Now, I'm not going to go into any of the minor characters, because a lot of these characters are written to be scumbags. For the most part, I think you guys get the picture I am trying to paint. However, there is one character we need to discuss, and that is Patty Bladell, the main character of the show, the one character that we should be supporting no matter what. And she is 10 times worse than almost every single fucking character in the show. You had one fucking job. She's a complete idiot. She fucks over her friends. She fucks over Bob twice. She ditches her best friend for this fucking modeling career. The worst part of this is that the explanation for Patty being a shitty character is that she gets skinny. That is the only explanation we were given throughout the show. And this can be very offensive to your young viewers, especially if you're trying to fucking pander to them. And if none of this is getting to you, just know that her character arc literally ends with her murdering someone.
I'm a good person. Patty. I'm a good person.
I think it's widely agreed that the tone in Insatiable is a fucking mess. And the show is basically trying to be two different shows at the same time. This show is a poor excuse of what can only be described as a shit show in tone. It tries to be both a edgy comedy sort of thing, as well as a serious drama that tries to teach kids a lesson. And I also think the show is trying to be sexy. I don't get the point of this scene. What is the point of this scene? No, look, don't get me wrong. I completely understand that this show is trying to be this way. It is trying to sprinkle out the serious topics that should be discussed throughout the show, as well as being this black comedy. However, this show fails at it miserably. And it all goes back to what I said about sprinkling these themes. However, it doesn't sprinkle it. It's not subtle. It is forced into your face, along with the dad jokes, which we will get into later. A good show that actually does this pretty well would be Rick and Morty. It's, primarily a comedy show, but it does sprinkle in some serious themes. They're very subtle, and the audience gets to take them in a little bit more, and they are given more of a chance to think about it. However, the show does not. It all comes back through this inconsistent tone. Now, this is the point where we get into the biggest problem with the show. It's just not fucking funny. Now, instead of bitching and complaining, I'll just show you this show's comedy.
You're saying that I could have been a twin, but I ate him? Well, I wouldn't say that you ate it.
That's kind of badass. What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with me?
Oh, hi, Coralie. Patty.
See? Anus face.
What are you doing?
Stretching Patty out.
I'm super tired.
You look really loose to me.
We are not sisters.
Yes, we are. We share a bedroom and a toothbrush.
I love women. Tell yourself you're bisexual. We all go through that phase. Bisexuals are like demons or aliens. They don't exist.
Hey, partner.
Oh, boy, Patty. What in the hell?
So you want to see my Miyagi?
He's a child molester.
Which means I might actually have a shot.
I was an accused molester saying the victim made it up, which was almost as bad as if I'd actually done it.
Well, this is the end of my public service announcement addressing the piece of garbage disguised as a Netflix television show, Insatiable. I don't recommend this show to anyone. Drunk, sober, high, criminal, whatever you are, no one deserves to watch this. So please, take my advice. If whenever the show comes up on your recommendation feed on Netflix, if one of your jackass friends wants to put it on as a clever joke or because they find it entertaining, just say no.